Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Youngnaire's podcast. And if you're a youngin and you're struggling,
it's time to get to hustling.
We are your hosts. I am Nadia. I'm 21 years old.
I'm Soleil and I'm 16.
And we are UGC creators and micro-influencers based in Atlanta, Georgia. The whole purpose of this podcast is to educate and encourage our fellow Youngnaires on the importance of entrepreneurship and living a self-fulfilling life. Yeah. Now, I don't want the 9-to-5ers in my comments coming for me talking about, oh, she don't like 9-to-5. That's not what it is. It's not what it is at all. This podcast is for people who actually don't enjoy their 9-to-5, yes. Who are ready.
Love that for you.
If you love it,
I love it more.
Love it more. But if you don't, if you hate it, it's time to make a change. And that's what the whole purpose of this podcast is.
Yes. So a Youngnaire is a young entrepreneur who has a millionaire mindset. That's really all it is, keeping it simple.
Sweet, simple, and we know we are only bringing on the best, the baddest, the fabulous guests on Youngnaire's podcast. So today, let the people know who we have with us today.
We have a 24-year-old couture celebrity fashion designer who is just absolutely killing it in the game. So very warm welcome
to Jayda.
Hey, I'm Jayda. Like she said, couture fashion designer and fashion instructor.
Yes, love that. Love that. Thank you for being here. Please run down the fit before we go anywhere. Please.
So I made this, of course.
A Jayda original?
I actually made it to go to Italy.
Okay.
But this girl canceled the trip like 2 days before we were supposed to go. So I was like, where else am I going to wear this?
Right.
And so I had to wear it here. It had to make an appearance
somewhere. It was going to see a camera somewhere.
Somebody had to see it. It's too beautiful to keep in the closet.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
I love the fit. Love the fit.
I made this and I actually got these from Target a couple minutes before.
Okay, Target.
Target
Period, Target. Quick and simple. Love
loving
it.
the shoes as well. The whole fit.
Love it. The whole fit.
Gorgeous.
And thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited.
Okay, first question. So, where are you from and what is your business?
Yes, so I'm from Houston, Texas, but I moved to Atlanta like I want to say 4 years ago. I moved here to go to school for a little bit. But basically what I do is I've had a fashion brand for like a while now. I always knew I wanted to be a designer. But I figured I wanted to be a couture designer like a few years ago. And then like 2020. And so then after becoming a couture designer, I realized that also part of my purpose is like to help other Black women like into this space.
Yeah.
Because when you think of like these couture brands, these luxury brands, how often do you see a Black woman like in this space?
So
it's literally always like ran
always
by
white.
men or like white families.
Right.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I'm a Black woman and
Yes.
I'm about to own this space.
Yep.
But I feel like it's my job to like help other Black women do that too. So
I love that.
Thank you.
I
started
absolutely
a
love
community.
it. Yeah, she said, I'm gonna come, I'm gonna put my foot on your neck, let y'all know what's going on because
It's never been done before? No, it has.
it has been done now.
Exactly.
Love that. Love that.
So, yeah.
When do you think was like the moment for you where you were like, aha, I'm gonna be a fashion designer? Like when did that really like click for you?
Literally when I was 7.
Like, I knew it was something super young. Like
everybody.
My whole life. So my aunt, she used to sew, and I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And so I like suck at coming up with names, but I told my mom like about me wanting to be a designer, and she created the name Jayda. That's the name of my fashion brand.
Yeah.
And
It is
so
cute.
thank you.
It is
It's a
super
mix
cute.
of my first and last name, so
Yeah.
J-A for Jayda and then E-L-L for Ellis. So
Love it.
Jayda. And so ever since then, I just stuck with it. But I've literally been doing this my whole life. I started selling clothes in like middle school. So
Middle school?
Yeah, but that was before I could sew. So I would do
what type
like,
of clothes would...
so I would go to the thrift store. I would get like denim. I would bleach it, dye it, rip it, add studs and
Right.
stuff like
So,
that.
like-
Paint American flag on it.
Repurposing.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just for used to recycle, you know.
Exactly.
Okay. What level of like education do you think somebody needs to become a fashion designer?
So I honestly don't think you necessarily need to go to school. Like I went to school for a year, then I dropped out. But I've learned from experience. I think that's the most important thing. Like I've had Yeah, like I did my first internship when I was 15. That's when I learned how to sew. But then when I got to Atlanta, I did 2 internships for 2 celebrity designers. And so the first one is Rico Chappelle, and then the second one is Anthony L. He actually won Project Runway.
Oh wow!
And so that was like a really cool. He like working with him is really what changed like everything for me.
Wow!
But I've like been able to work for all of these talented people for years, and that's how I've been able to learn everything.
Wow!
So I just feel like as long as you get the experience, like you'll be good.
Yeah, I love that, and that's kind of like entrepreneurship in a nutshell right there. It's like, even if you do a course, if you try to graduate from YouTube University, you're still going to have to go out and do it yourself and figure out, you know, what are the things that work for you, what doesn't work for you, and it's just all a learning process.
I agree.
Yeah.
Even like when you think about entrepreneurship, it's not like you have to necessarily go to college to become an entrepreneur.
Right, you don't.
And I feel like even the people that you're learning from, like your professors, a lot of them don't even have businesses. You know, and so it's just like you're learning from people who
the issue.
haven't even done the
things
example, you know,
exactly. So I feel like with everything, like an entrepreneurship is based off experience.
Yeah.
Go out there, fail a bunch of times, you'll figure it out.
Let's repeat that again.
Yes.
Fail a bunch of times. Like
over and over and over and over and over and over.
And then after that, over and over and over again, until you get everything the way that you want it to. You're like, the whole point of entrepreneurship is kind of like building your own blueprint. You're like, oh, okay, that doesn't work. Oh, this works, but this doesn't work. And then you'll finally get to that point where everything will just move so smoothly for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, love that. The one question I had was, how do you stay up to date with like trends? Or do you even bump a trend? How does that? What do you think?
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to trends. I will say I love corsets. Like that is my favorite thing. I love corset. I love a snatch waist. But outside of that, I really like to just create whatever I feel.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like when I first, for the majority of time when I first started being a designer, I feel like I was so scared to like rely on my own creative vision, and so I would just copy like what I saw other people make, but add my own like little flair to it, you know. But then I realized like I feel like everybody has their own creative vision. Like this is like y'all's creative vision. Like everybody has their own idea to bring to life, but sometimes you can feel like, oh well, I'm not creative enough.
Exactly.
Or I'm not able to come up with my own good ideas, and then I realized like no, you actually have some good ideas inside of you, so you don't have to look at what everybody else is doing. Exactly.
Love that.
And so now it's just like what I create is like what I feel. Yes, literally. I look at like fashion as like my form of art. Exactly. Like literally for this, I said I want to make something that looks like a heart.
I love it, and I love that.
Like a form of art. Thank you.
One thing off of what you just piggybacking off of what you said about just being creative, and is there ever a time where you have like you know how writers have like writer's block?
Oh yes.
Do you have like creative block, like designer's block?
Definitely. And honestly, what I have to do whenever the ideas aren't flowing, I just walk away. Like I'll take a break.
Sometimes you just gotta give your mind a break.
Exactly.
Get the juices flowing again.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes that's all we need is like rest for real. And so if the ideas aren't flowing in that moment, like I just be like, okay, I'll come back to this tomorrow, or something like that, or even like trying other creative stuff, like painting or drawing.
Right. See if you can pull it out of somewhere.
Exactly. And then another thing that I also think is helpful is just like trying stuff. So like I feel like sometimes you may like have this fear like, oh, like, well, what if I create something and it's ugly?
Right.
And so I'll just like take some fabric and just try things. Like take my fabric, my mannequin, and just start cutting and see what happens.
Right.
And eventually like an idea may start to flow instead of like trying to pre-plan an idea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Literally.
Live in the moment.
Exactly.
Go with the flow and see. I love that. I love that. Let's take a little break. Let's get some Bel Air in here. Let's get some Bel Air in here. We've been talking for a minute.
Is Welch's sparkling cider?
Yes.
Y'all don't come for her. It's not alcoholic, okay? Jesus, because we know y'all gonna be, oh, she's only 16. please don't do her. Please don't. Yes, of course. Here you go. Yep, and I got some already, but I'm gonna fill it up because I can use more. I can never, there's never enough. There's never enough. To the top. And then you could take this for me, my Chrissy pool. Thank you.
Okay. Nice big indulge.
How to get it in there?
Perfect. So, what do you think is like your biggest challenge as a fashion designer?
I would say for a while it was like making sure I took the time to practice. I feel like when you stop practicing, you stop growing. So I think it's important to make it a priority to learn. Always just remain a student. And I realized when I stopped practicing, it's like, I guess the best way to explain it is like you can only create based off of what you currently know, right? So if you don't keep learning or like trying new things out, you aren't going to be able to create any new ideas.
Right.
And so even to go back to like the creative block, I realized I got stuck creatively the most when I stopped practicing. Like when I stopped trying out new things, because it's like, dang, now I'm just recreating the same stuff over and over and over again. And so I'll say that, like making sure I practice consistently. And then also, I feel like a lot of creatives deal with this, but I notice it a lot in the fashion industry too. It's like, I know so many talented black women, so many talented like black designers and creatives, but the biggest thing that they may struggle with is like, they don't have the business side together. And so it's just like, you have the most talent, but nobody's seeing it because
you don't got the foundation.
Exactly, you don't got your business. Exactly, you don't got your business together. So making that a priority has also been like a challenge too. Like making sure I get my business together.
Not just focusing on the fun creating part.
Exactly. And then something else just popped in my mind.
Yeah,
too.
go ahead. We flowing, girl. We flowing.
When I first started, when I dropped out of school, I wanted to find a way to stay in Atlanta. And so I was like, okay, what can I do? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing prom dresses. And so I was like 19 when I dropped out. And I started doing prom dresses, but I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way to get my name known in Atlanta. So I said I'm going to do like a prom dress raffle, and all people have to do to enter is like repost a picture of my work with a hashtag, and then you get the chance to win a free prom dress. So that's like free promotion.
That's a very good idea.
Exactly. So I went to all these high schools in Atlanta, like talking to the people over the prom committee and stuff, and just saying, hey, like I'm doing a prom dress raffle, tell your students. And so I did that. In my first prom season, I made about like $16,000, $17,000 within a couple of months.
Wow. Give me a minute.
And then
give me a minute. Wow. Give me a minute. Did y'all hear what she said?
I don't think you did.
And how old were you at that time?
I was like 19 years old.
19.
But then look, I lost it all.
Entrepreneurship.
I literally lost it all. Like by the summer, so people go to prom between like I think March and May, something like that. Yeah. So literally by I want to say end of June or maybe even mid-June, all my money was gone. And so then I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna do better. Next year, made a nice amount of money. It was all going again. And so I literally kept fumbling the bag, and I was so mad at myself. Like I just did not know what to do with my money. And so that was like a really big thing I had to like work on. It was like learning how to manage my money. No, for real. Like I was never really taught.
No, exactly. That's the thing that oh my God, something about like going high school and just education in general. Like y'all are teaching us everything that we don't need. I've never used pi since I graduated. I don't know. I've never used it, but I do need to know how to do taxes, and I have no clue how to do that right now. I do know.
I did my taxes for the first time like a year or two ago.
Girl. Like literally, these are the things that need to be taught in school, not MXY plus B.
Exactly.
Come on.
After a certain point, the basics,
we don't need that.
We don't need anything else.
Literally. I agree, 100%.
Where would you say you get your design like inspiration from? Like where would you pull it from?
Well, I would say in general, I know I love like shape theory. Like I love creating shape and structure. And I also want like everything I do to be full of life. Like I feel like naturally, like I'm like a really like vibrant person, you know? And so I want my clothes to reflect that. I feel like sometimes fashion, like at least the fashion shows, they can seem so serious.
The Balenciaga ones where they're like this.
Yes, I was just about to say, like, girl, they be having these people out here looking so serious.
Crazy.
Like upset that
Exactly. It's just like, I want what I do to look like life.
I love that.
Joy. I want it to look like art. Even through what I do, I want it to tell a story. So whenever I create, that's what I kind of have in mind. And I'll say, like, even as far as like brands that inspire me, there's one brand specifically. It's like an Italian brand. Called like Elsa Pirelli, something like that.
See?
I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but it's like a really old brand, but her brand is like inspired just by like art and shape as well. And so, that's kind of like where I get my inspiration.
Awesome.
Amazing. So how do you handle like criticism or like bad people who are unhappy with?
Or have you had a client? Who has
starting off when I was doing those prom dresses, I had a lot of mess ups. Like that's my first time doing gowns for people, so it was a lot that I was figuring out. But I think criticism from like other entrepreneurs who may be like trying to give me advice, I think it took me a while to actually accept that, because I feel like for a while I thought like, I know what I'm doing.
They're coming out.
And it's just like, girl, clearly you don't, 'cause you're in the same place. But now I feel like I take criticism well when it's like coming from my peers or even like mentors, when it's like, okay, you could do this better, you know? And then I feel like when it comes from like clients, I think I take criticism well from clients because I care so much about making sure they're good. But I'll say like I used to care so much about like everybody liking what I created. And so that will also like give me this fear of creating, because I'll think, well, what if everyone doesn't like it? You know, like what if someone has something to say about like what I created? I remember I did this dress for like one of the housewives. And it was for
Drop
like
the name.
it was for a scholar. She's on Real Housewives of Potomac. And so it was for the reunion show. And I remember I made her this dress, and it was cool. It actually ended up getting voted best dress by like 1.5 million people. But I remember they posted it on Fashion Bomb Daily, and I did not want to look at the comments because I would care so much about what if like somebody doesn't like it. And so then I had looked at the comments, and I got mad because someone said it looked like a prom dress, which had like bothered me because like you're basically saying this looks like something a kid would wear. And so then I was like, I'm not looking at no more comments. And then I remember my mom, she was like going through it. She was like, girl, that is one comment. She was like, literally everybody else was saying
Isn't it crazy how the mind does that? There could be so many good things right there in that one person.
One negative thing.
It's gone. It's real.
I hate that we do that. I hate that we really do that.
It's like you'll blow up something to be way bigger than it really is.
Exactly. I love
so,
that. In your opinion, which celebrity has the best style?
I love Zendaya.
For real, like please.
For real. And
every
then she knows
time.
how to wear them, you know, like she looks flawless every time.
Single time.
Like she's just
literally. And then
I just want to be her. I just want to be her.
She looks incredible. And then I also feel like Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yes,
like
I love her.
when I get her age in my 50s or whatever, I want to look that good.
No, for real, her skin is ridiculous.
What hair, beautiful, shape together, and I feel like she just dressed so like, I don't know, it's like
she's very bubbly too.
Yeah,
I like you see her personality in her clothes.
Exactly.
Like that's exactly what it is.
So
love
those
that.
Are definitely my favorites.
You two top two.
Definitely top two.
Those are good top two.
Those are good top two.
Describe a time that you've made like a huge mistake in, and how did you fix it?
So this is also during prom. I had so many mistakes.
I love that. I don't want people to think that entrepreneurship is just a cakewalk. No, we're really doing stuff over here.
You got this stuff for sure. But I remember I did this 2 years in a row. I overbooked myself because I'm just like looking at all the money coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you want a dress? Sure. Like, y'all too? Okay, that's cool.
Right.
And so I remember I had like 11 people booked for one weekend. So I had 11 dresses to get done for one weekend. And then the worst part is I waited till a week, like 8 days before their prom.
Girl, no.
And most of them were out of state. I have no idea. One of the people I dropped out of school with, my roommate, he was a fashion designer also. So he's doing prom dresses as well. And he's just looking like, Jayda, you got like 11 dresses that need to be
like, girl, the math.
So,
the math ain't mathing, girl.
He was so confused because he's just like, why is she not starting? And I really, looking back, I really don't know why I had to start on it for real. But
it just creeps up on you.
Man.
You don't even realize the time is passing until,
exactly, like, I was chilling. Like, I was like, it's gonna be good. Like, I'm gonna get them done. But literally, I did not go to sleep for those next couple of days. I took probably like an hour nap each day, but I was like literally going off of like energy drinks. Like, I did not go to sleep. And it was like, I think one of the people, luckily, I think out of the 11, one actually canceled her prom. Canceled one of prom. Like, it was right. She was my last dress, and it was like right before I was about to start on it. And I was just like,
thank you, Jesus.
God, I don't want to do this.
Make you want to shout. Make you want to shout. Thank you, Jesus.
Like, for real. And she texted me like right before I was about to start on it. She said, I can't go to prom no more, so don't worry about the dress. You can keep the money. And I said, thank you.
Ooh.
Like,
and keep the money.
Yes, bro. Literally,
she's the best. Thank you.
But I cried afterwards because I went so long with no sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I had to knock out like a dress every like 15 hours or something. Like, it was so stressful. And I did it 2 years in a row. That's the crazy
girl.
thing.
One time it's like
literally.
Twice?
Exactly.
Girl, you did that to yourself, girl. You did that to yourself.
I did not learn my lesson. So, yeah, after that I started looking at like my clients' dates. I was like, okay, this is when your prom is.
Okay.
Like, I don't put too many at this time, but that was like my biggest mistake. But I will say, what was helpful from that, now like when celebrities reach out, like I don't know why, but they all be last minute. But when they reach out and they say, hey, I need a dress in 2 days, because I did go through that season of like having to rush in that week, that helps me now. Like now I'm like, okay, I know I can do a dress. Exactly. I know how to rush. So I will say it was helpful for that reason.
Yeah, it's a learning lesson.
Exactly.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
What qualities would you say make a good fashion designer?
So I'll definitely say, kind of how I mentioned earlier, like remaining a student. I feel like always like continuing to learn, being creative, learning the business side, and also just like patience and consistency.
Yeah.
And I feel like just being comfortable with like experimenting as well.